Hi, it's Simon and Aaron with Assets and Arbitrage, and we have a great show for you today.
Okay, so as this show is airing on Monday,
Mhm.
we just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. I know some people may not celebrate it, but we did the Juneteenth a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we're gonna recognize the 4th of July, right?
Mhm.
It is a holiday, but what is 4th of July? 4th of July is really Independence Day, right? And so we want to talk about that. People, to me, far too often use the words independence and freedom kind of interchangeably. So I'm going to read off a definition of both or the difference between them, and then we're going to get into it. So, independence means that an individual can do something without depending on others, while freedom has a bigger boundary, which does not have any restriction or rules. Independence is related to capability of self-determination and freedom to the absence of obstacles to work that out. So, also, they will also talk about because these are both, and it says in the English course, but they're both nouns. But then they have the talking about the state of independence
Mhm.
and the state of freedom, right? So, what's the difference? So, state of independence is self-sustained or maintenance, direction under one's own affairs without interference, while the state of freedom is uncountable, the state of being free, of not being imprisoned and or enslaved. So that's the textbook definition, and as far as freedom and independence. So what we need to do now, I'm going to let her go in and do her thing because she wants to break down the freedom part of it. So go
So,
ahead.
in casual conversations, in social media threads, in a lot of the chitter chatter of the airwaves, we've noticed that there is a perceived symbol of freedom that you can basically do whatever you want when you're free. And we're here to say that is absolutely not true. Television, movies, music is mirroring a narrative that, and when I say freedom, most people associate true freedom with financial freedom.
Right. Okay.
Right? You're not really free until you're financially free.
Okay.
There's really, I can't name another aspect that the average person would equate with freedom. It's typically financial freedom. And
Mm-hmm.
people feel like, oh, if I had as much money as such and such, I'd
Mm-hmm.
be able to do whatever I want.
Okay.
And when we say I'd be able to do whatever I want, the concept behind that lacks a discipline
Mm-hmm.
and it lacks a huge knowledge base. And we really want to kind of bring attention to that particular false flag of freedom and give you the actual reality of what freedom entails. Freedom entails added layers of responsibility. So the more freedom, the more up leveling of your lifestyle, which leads you towards freedom,
Mm-hmm.
you gain, the more added layers of responsibility that come attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we want to talk about. So when people are in certain tax brackets, let's
Right.
say it that way. When people are in certain tax brackets, they don't have a lot of obligation. They typically get a refund back. Those taxes are very easy to do. So let's talk about single people. Single people do a 1040 EZ. They don't have a lot of obligation. There's not a lot of responsibility to that. And they can maintain a household for typically one person.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
As you start to up level and you begin to increase the amount of money that you make, you increase your tax brackets. You now need added layers of responsibility. It demands it,
Right.
which will help you to or requires you to maintain the wealth that you're getting now
Mm-hmm.
and protect the wealth that you're getting now.
Yeah, you
It's
have.
more than just increasing it.
Yeah, you definitely have to protect it. I mean, increasing it is what we like to say. That's the job we want to do is increase it. But as it increases, even if it doesn't increase, you must protect the wealth. And the part that she's talking about with the freedom is, my thing is just this use of the words. Like we say in our household, they say precision of language, right? So this between independence and freedom. These are two different things. So and to us, freedom is always the goal. It's something that we are always striving for, and that we're teaching our children and everything about, and letting them know that freedom is the ultimate goal.
But it comes with a significant amount of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So the financial obligations and responsibilities of a college student
Okay.
is going to look very different than the responsibilities and financial obligations of the CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Correct.
People typically think the more money I get, I can do whatever I want. And the idea behind that, or the picture that forms in your mind, is I can lay on the beach for a month. I can go out to eat wherever I want, which you can, but just understand that you want to be able to have a plan for your wealth so that it isn't as easily squandered. Right. It's one of the reasons why people, when they come into wealth quickly, lotto winnings, casino winnings, stuff like that, the money is squandered so quickly. There's no plan for it.
Right.
And they don't understand their new responsibility for the wealth. Right? The new responsibility. At certain tax brackets, you don't even really have to protect your wealth. The bank does that for you. Yes. You have that protection on your checking account. Somebody goes in, takes the money. You call the bank, and they give you back the money. They investigate. If it's legit, you get to, you got your money back. If they feel like it's not legit, or you tried to pull a fast line, they take the money back. Easy breezy. You have that checking account protection. You have overdraft protection. Many people do. But when you start building wealth, right? You don't have those protections, especially in the crypto community when you're actually your own bank. You're on DeFi, you're being your own bank. You have to protect your own wealth, which means you have to come up with the plans to monitor it and to protect it.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell a quick story. Something happened to us about a month ago. I was going to talk about it on the show, but I was still upset and angry about it. So I said I'll give it a little time, and then we'll chop it up about it later. So what happened is, we are still old school investors in physical gold and silver, right? And so we keep most of it in a depository, but we do keep some physical with us, where we live. So we had some people doing work on the house, painting, plumbing, and had some housekeeping and stuff going on. And this was going on for about, I say 8 weeks, about 2 months. 2 months. So we keep the physical silver in the house, kind of keep it hidden up in our bedroom in the closet. But make a long story short, one of the workers who was working on the house stole a portion of our physical silver. And we were able to recover most of it. And, and it's odd because I just went to check on the I just went to look. Sometimes I don't even look at the silver for a while. I just went to check on it. I was going to organize this and look at some different things. And I noticed that something was missing. So that tipped me off. I was like, oh, okay, something's missing. And I'm like, well, where could it have been? Pieces. Yeah, so where could it have gone? And then I just, you hate to blame somebody for stealing something, so you try to look around and be like, oh, man, did I misplace it? Did I move something here? But long story short, they ended up stealing it. We went back to their home. We were able to recover some of the stolen. I say most of it, but the actual man who stole it, he absconded to a place called Oaxaca. So that's a state in Mexico out on the Pacific coast. So, there wasn't really anything you do about it. Police, this, that, and the third. But like I said, it was my fault. I didn't have it secured enough, and I was just being a little haphazard with the people in our house. And I didn't think that something like that could happen, right? So I say all that to say this. You still have to protect your wealth, even in a physical manner. So this is where Bitcoin comes in so handy, because it cannot be stolen physically from you. right? And that's a big deal, man. That's a good lesson for me to learn. I'm still gonna keep my physical silver because I love it and I've been doing it for a long time. But I just didn't secure it in the manner that I probably should have with people kind of working in my house, having kind of free range. We had to go out of town a couple times, and the kids were here, and my oldest son was here, and he was keeping an eye on what was going on, but still.
Now we had it secured. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that these people went and like searched up our
Yeah,
stuff
search
when
it
they
out.
saw the opportunity. It's a very large
Right,
house.
right.
And if they saw the opportunity, they were actually going through things. We also had U.S. cash,
Yeah,
U.S. dollars stolen
yeah.
because I only use the U.S. dollars when I travel to obviously the United States or El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that we now have to increase the added security,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Even the kids didn't know where we kept it. So like they were searching up our stuff.
Yeah.
He
Mm-hmm.
was. It was
Yeah,
one
the
person.
individual. Yeah.
He was searching up our stuff while we were gone, and he was finding opportunities to do so, probably just to see what we had.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Anyway, understanding that as you increase your wealth, you have to add new knowledge bases, you have new experiences,
Mm-hmm.
but there has to be a plan.
Yes.
Okay. And I want to tell you guys a funny thing. I'm glad you brought that up because I watched a TikTok the other day. I told you about it earlier this morning.
Mm.
There was a woman, and her husband was like, "Hey, babe, I want you to sit down. I want to ask you a question." So he sits her down at the dining room table and he says to her, "You love Starbucks?" She's like, "Yep, love Starbucks." He says, "How much money do you think you spend a month on Starbucks?" And he's holding the paper in his hand. So she's like, "I don't know, maybe like $75, maybe $100." I think she said like up to $200. She had like three guesses. He said, "You spend over $700 a month in Starbucks."
Mm.
I think everybody who watched that TikTok,
Mm.
including her, was floored. She
Mm.
was like, "What?" He said, "I'm going through the bank statements and you've spent over $700 in Starbucks." So now she's thinking and she's like, "Well, sometimes I go to Starbucks multiple times a day." I think she was a nurse. She had on scrubs. So she's medical something. And you can tell by the environment that they're in that they probably are high income earners. Okay. So to her, it's not a big deal. I have the money to cover the Starbucks all month. She said something like, "I bought some Starbucks for the girls." Something along the lines of maybe the people that work with her, wherever it is that she works. I'll bring Starbucks for the office. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And she really didn't have a good handle on just how much she spent on Starbucks with when you're doing this one-time transaction today, doesn't seem like a lot of money, right? Maybe it was $22 in Starbucks today. He would have a fit if he ever saw that. But for normal people, that might not be a big deal, right? And then on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then Thursday, and you're not seeing how the spending on this one thing, on this
Mm-hmm.
item, is compounding over the course of a month.
Mm-hmm.
So for my mathematicians out there, if she's spending, and I'm not saying she does this every month, it's a 30-second TikTok or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but let's just say this is her monthly behavior because spending is typically a spending habit. It is a behavior that is consistent. You buy what you buy and you buy it consistently. $700 over the course of 12 months is
Wow, $8,400.
almost $10,000 a
Well, yeah.
year
Yep.
in Starbucks. And then you do that over 5 years.
Right.
Think about the assets that you could have attained. People would be shocked to hear how many people run a household and have no idea. They couldn't just tell you outright what their expenses are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what their debt to income ratio is.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really have a good handle on what spending looks like in their household. And this is a typical mismanagement among average households.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did the inventory for her. She spends over $700 a month in Starbucks. It also begs the question to what else does she spend money on, but doesn't have a handle on how much she's spending over the course of the month, over the course of the year.
Yeah, because it goes the same way, like we always say before. When you're building your wealth, what is the saying you say?
Little Dutty build big dam.
Yeah, but it goes the other way because when you spend what you perceive to be a little bit amount of money, time, day after day after day, month after month after month, it becomes a large amount of money that you have spent on something. Where if you would be appalled
Mm-hmm.
at how much money you could spend on something that's kind of frivolous or wasteful. Where we like to say kind of run that back into the assets, right, and the wealth and the assets. People will work a whole career and maybe not have a lot of retirement. Maybe they do, maybe not. But they would be surprised. They would be appalled if they went back and added up all their yearly salaries for the last 25, 30 years, right? You would have made a ton of money, and then what you have put away, you'd be like, man, I should probably have more than that. So, it's about discipline, wealth. She talks about income. I'm a big wealth guy. She's income. People sometimes use those interchangeably. It's two different things. You can have a certain amount of income, doesn't matter what it is, but your wealth is your wealth, right? Whether you have high income, low income, median income, your wealth is your wealth. So, two different things. We like to focus on the wealth for the generations. The income is the income. Focus on your income. Get your paper up, as they say. But it's two different things because your income, and then you have your debt. And when you're calculating your wealth, it's about your debt and your assets and your debt and the net and or maybe the negative. So you can have the negative wealth. We mentioned that before. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That is what we want to talk about: the wealth and the freedom of it.
Right.
So go into more symbols of these freedoms.
But the reality of the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also noticing for people who like to watch like reality TV, you like to watch athletes and entertainers,
Mm-hmm.
you see the fabulous side of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see they get to go on shopping sprees. They're buying $50,000 worth of Louis Vuitton. They're on the beach. They're in Turks and Caicos. They're jumping off of yachts. They're at boating parties. But the part that isn't mirrored to people is the amount of work that has to go in order to do that. So
Right.
when we hear statements like, if I had this amount of money, I'd be able to do whatever I want,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reference Kanye West's song. What was it? Can't Tell Me Nothing?
Yep.
Okay. He said, bought more Louis V. My mama couldn't get through to me. He bought a chain. He spent that on the necklace. He's telling you once he got that money, you couldn't tell him anything. He did whatever he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
We also remember when he was $59 million in debt.
Yep.
He understood what he did wrong. He turned it around and was able to flip that into, I want to say, at least a couple billion of dollars.
Right. And often I hear from people we know who are high income earners.
Yes.
We call them high income
Mm-hmm.
earners. We refer to them as that. I don't have a budget. And I say,
yeah.
really? Because you see people who, millionaires, decamillionaires, they go broke. They go broke. You see it. They go broke like that. People who have far more money than you ever had can go broke. And then you're going to say, because I have a high income, I have no budget.
Yeah.
And like she said, that to me, that is, what would you call that? It's irresponsible, to say the least. But like she says, it means that they don't have a plan for the money, right? You're just going to get paid, spend it down till there's nothing, and then get paid again. I don't have a budget. I buy what I want. I eat what I want. I do what I want. And that is the false flag of freedom,
Yes.
that you can do whatever you want. Okay?
In an irresponsible manner.
And
when that freedom is...
freedom is really hard work. And I'll just use an example. I don't know if you guys ever watch this stuff. It comes on I see it on YouTube. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I come across these videos on YouTube. Usually it's something that's called homesteading. So it's usually people trying to get off the grid and, start like an independent lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have is you have your own parcel of land. You build yourself a nice house. Nothing extravagant. Something humble. So that you guys can live in. And then everything else, you do everything else for yourself, right? So, for example, I watched this one couple. It was a man and woman. I believe they were in North Dakota. And what it was is his job, for the most part, was to split wood every day, all day, so that when the winter came, they had enough wood to heat their home. Her job was more to tend to the garden. They were growing their own vegetables and herbs and spices and things like that. They shared. It looks like they shared the job of managing the animals. So they had some,
Okay.
some chickens, the pig here, and a cow. But long story short, they are free as they see it, right? They're free. They don't have to pay. They had some solar panels, they get generator, so they don't have to pay a monthly utility bill. They didn't have TV, the generator. They didn't use much electricity, and they had a control over their own water. So these people were as constituted free, but they had to work hard every day, all day long. They got up crack of dawn. You're out here, you working, you doing this all day, because if you don't, you don't have heat, you don't have food. And what happened was, he ended up getting injured, and he wasn't able to split the wood for quite a while. And as the wintertime rolled in on him, he realized he didn't have enough wood to get them through the winter.
They had a shortfall.
They had a shortfall of wood because he injured himself. So, these are the things. Being free isn't easy. It's not easy at all. We talk about, I mean, we can go all the way back, but you talk about the slaves who left the plantation.
Oh yeah,
right?
I remember you told me it was
It's harder. It's harder to be. When you're on the plantation, everything's set up for you. But once you leave, you gotta set things up again for yourself. You gotta build things back up, and it's harder. In my opinion, it's harder to be free. I think most people who are trying to get free would agree. One thing about it's getting free, right? That's the big thing. You got to get free, but then you got to stay free.
You got to protect it.
That's the thing. It's just like protecting your wealth. You got to get wealth, but then you got to protect it, right? So you get free. Like you might get free. Like, okay, I'm out here. I'm free. I'm doing my own thing. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes things go against you. Stuff pops up that you weren't prepared for, and then maybe you have to, maybe go back. Take a step back from your freedom. But the main part about the freedom that we're talking about is maintaining your freedom. Now, you have to stay free, and you have children, and you have to teach them how to be free and teach them how to maintain their freedom. So freedom is it's tricky. It's hard. I mean, it's hard, and I don't know if anybody will ever be like totally free because of the way the world is, but like we had talked about in previous shows, you got those areas of activity that you remove yourself from here, there, and it gives you a little bit more freedom. Just a little bit more here, a little bit more here, a little bit more here. But you got to be able to maintain it because, that's the thing. The thing is maintenance of your freedom, right? Because you don't want to go back, right? You want to be free. You want to, I hate to make a bad analogy, but hell, there's different types of level of freedom. If somebody is released from prison, okay, this person, he has his freedom now. So what is his job? His job is to maintain his freedom so that he does not go back to prison, just on a very basic level, right? So maintain your freedom, do what you have to do. And it's hard, when you get out of prison and stuff like that, to maintain it because recidivism is very, very high in the United States. So that's a level of freedom. You get out from state penitentiary. Now you got to stay free, and there's so many things put in place so that if you trip yourself up, you lose your freedom once again. So freedom is an important thing. It's hard to maintain, but it's a job. It's a job. It's a daily job, I think. 24/7.
One of the areas of activity is education. So Simon homeschools the boys, and I know that in a lot of areas, a lot of cities in the United States, parents complain about the school to prison pipeline, especially with young Black children. They complain about poor curriculums. I think the critical race theory, am I saying that right? That's like a whole political thing. The education is Eurocentric. Like there's all these issues that parents have with not just the school system, but the curriculum that's being taught as well. I wish my children were taught financial literacy. I wish they were taught this. I wish they were taught that. Why do you focus on this area of the world, so on and so forth? Understand that when you free yourself from that area of activity, education, you are responsible for the curriculum for your children.
Yes.
And the idea is, are you qualified to teach them the things that they need that they would get into school, where you have a team of people who have various credentials in order to teach.
Right.
Often nights, I'll go upstairs and Simon has his iPad out. He's got some textbooks out. Most of his textbooks are digital. He
Yeah,
still has a few physical textbooks, but he's got to get up to snuff in order to teach the lesson to the kids the very next day. So it requires a time commitment and a knowledge commitment so that he can, as they're promoting, that's what I was looking for, I'm sorry, as they're promoting to new grades, he's making sure that the kids have the education, resources, and information in order to keep up with, actually exceed what they would have in a traditional school. Because you don't want to take your kids out of school to homeschool them. And let's be honest, I'm not strong in math. Math wouldn't be the role that I'm assigned in order to teach the children. I'm very strong in English language arts. That's my role when it comes to the education aspect in our home. And his role is the STEM. He's very strong in math. He's strong in science. That's what they need. Okay? So, but you want to be honest about these things as well. And we're noticing that people are like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to homeschool the kids. And you want to ask the question like, oh, you want to homeschool them? Are you able to homeschool them? Yeah. We see in our homeschool groups all the time where parents will say, I can't homeschool my kid past 3rd grade.
Yeah, they're having a lot of problems. But there's a lot of resources out there. So just got to get up with people, man. Chop it up with people and link up, and you can get some help. You know, we always offer help with the homeschooling, tutoring.
But like I said, I think the idea is that you hear the word freedom and think you can kind of do whatever you want to, and then when you run into actual freedom, it's like running into the actual Bentley. It's not Chrysler anymore.
The freedom is.
You realize what it's coming in tail with, and when people aren't ready for whatever aspect of freedom it is, and we're really talking about financial because it is assets and arbitrage, you have the possibility to squander the wealth that you've created, to squander the income that's coming in. One of the major ways, like we talked about, is the spending will get away from you because you don't even know what you're spending every month.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a budgeting issue. You know, if you have high income, I guess, are you speaking about high income earners?
I'm relatively talking to high income earners because they're the one we're talking about, the lack of planning.
Yeah, because when you have a high income, like I mentioned earlier, the people who say I don't have a budget, the kind of people that you don't have to really go check and see how much you spent today, or if you have enough money to cover this purchase, or at the grocery store. So that could be a problem for people who have what would you say, a lot of disposable income.
Right.
People with less disposable income actually will probably
be a
little bit tighter, and and you won't have that with somebody with less disposable income. But what we like to do is, and like I said, the older I've gotten and the more wealth that we have built over the years, the cheaper I've gotten. I've gotten very, very cheap. I was always cheap as a young man, but I might do a little something, but now I'm very cheap, and that's what they call me. That's what the kids call me cheap. I use the word frugal. So I'm frugal. I'm an investor. I look for value in things that I buy. Right. So I don't like to just buy things. I want to see, well, what's the value? It costs this much. I don't think it's worth that much, so I don't want it. So I've become cheaper, and I assume as I get older, I'll get cheaper and cheaper, or more frugal, as I like to say it. But it helps because it allows us to invest more and build our wealth. Also, by living kind of in a rural area like we do, there's not a whole bunch of stuff to spend your money on. A couple little restaurants here and there, grocery store, but there's nothing to just go waste your money on. I can't go buy sneakers and stuff like that. They don't have shoes that I can fit. They don't have clothes, so they got the little foot dudes here, right? So I can't buy anything here, which is fine. We just roll that excess money that we have into building assets for our family and for our generations to come. So, that's one of the things. It depends on where you live, because some of the, we talk about, people like to talk about the income, how much they make, these type of numbers in
Mm-hmm.
your different cities, New York, San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you may have a high income, you understand that the city, the cost of living will take it back from you.
Yes.
It will take it back from you. So
Mm-hmm.
we're in a place where it won't take it back from you. The cost of living is very low. There's not a lot for you to actually be wasteful spending in a place like this. And it
Mm-hmm.
actually allows you just to double and triple down on building
Mm-hmm.
of your wealth. And that's what we love about it. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we love about it. That's the arbitrage. We always talk about look for the arbitrage. The arbitrage is finding a spot
Mm-hmm.
like this where you can really spend, a lot less of your
Mm-hmm.
own money, and then you could just keep building these assets.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing,
But the idea behind that
hmm
that we do want to demonstrate and just kind of point out is that those things are very methodical,
hmm
right? They're not. We didn't happen into it. We very easily live in Mexico City. Mexico City is going to try to take some of that money back,
hmm
not like New York City would, not like San Francisco or San Diego would,
Yeah.
but Mexico City will, with its American amenities, will try to take it back in excess consumption.
hmm
So, especially not us as much because we're disciplined enough to do it, but more so the children. And we do give the children some independence. They don't have the freedom, but they have the independence.
Yeah.
They get their own money. They can go out and buy some of the things they want. They can order some of the things they want on Amazon. But it's very important that we do I call it process improvement, continuous process improvement, to perform an inventory for people who want to up level. And when I say up level, people want to up level their lifestyles. And we're hearing that a lot. But we just want to tweak the reality of what up leveling your lifestyle actually means. A bigger house comes with more responsibility.
hmm
A nicer car comes with added responsibility. More money, more assets, all of these things come with added responsibility, with more work, and that continuous process improvement where you do have to perform financial inventories in order to just keep a handle on your finances. Is there something that is getting away from you?
hmm
Do you need to spend less?
Right.
A lot of times you hear people when they're in money trouble, I need another job.
Right.
And very often they overlook a solution,
No.
which would be
Let's spend less money. That's the way I like to go. But
find ways to spend
yeah.
less. You have to modify your behavior in a way and that requires sacrifice, which a lot of people don't want to do. I want my Starbucks every single day.
hmm
So it's like, but you know what? If you went to Costco and bought Starbucks on the shelf and you made it yourself at home, maybe you can save money that way. Maybe, we talk about carpooling because I know the gas is utterly ridiculous. And
Yep.
then you guys do something like that for West Indians. If you can do a box or a susu, it's a no interest loan that you pass amongst friends that you can trust and stuff like that. You can find new ways to spend less
hmm
and to put more towards your asset building.
Yes.
And it's often overlooked.
Yeah, because
They think the answer is more money,
yeah.
getting another stream of income, which it can be the answer. But just understanding, like, if you just modify your spending just a little bit, that is really the solution you're looking for to free the money up to do the things that you actually desire and want to do, and a little bit less of the excessive consumption.
Yeah, and that's why we always bring up just looking into the other countries, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do it full time,
Nope.
right? If it depends on your setup, but if you can just do it 1 month, 2 months, you get to another country, that'll free up money for you for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can pour that back into your wealth building, right? You don't have to do it full time. It's not full time. It's not for everybody. We understand people have obligations in their home country, so you can't just up and leave like that. Everybody can't do that. But if you could free up some time, you get to a place for a month, and it costs you 1/3 of what you would be paying in your home country, and then you can free up some of that money just in assets. And maybe it won't seem like a lot, like, well, that wasn't really that much money I freed up. But if you do it time over time over time, it compounds. You will have something. You will have something for yourself and for your family. And it's just part of the wealth building process of just looking for just little things where you're like, okay, I can do something here. That's why we promote and we actually do the flag theory. Go and see what you could do in other countries. The arbitrage places where you can catch. I'll say, oh, I can catch a little bit of interest here or some cheap property over here. Look at emerging frontier and emerging markets where you can get in on the ground floor. That's why we were big on El Salvador, because that is a market that is kind of just emerging, and if you can get in now, it's a good time to get in because you don't want to wait 20 years from now and it's kind of like a Singapore or something, and then now everything's expensive and overpriced, and you just can't get in. It's a higher, what they call what do they call it? Higher barrier to entry. So just the arbitrages are out here. They're not right in front of your face. You got to kind of go searching for them. These articles or talking to people. Sometimes if you join these groups on social media, people can tell you about certain things and certain opportunities in other countries. You go check them out. Like we said, when you travel, make it, take a little time to yourself, have fun, of course, but make it a business trip, right? Make it a business trip. Get out there and see what's going on over there. Talk to the people. Even if you link up with, a lot of times it's good to link up with, if there's any expats or people from your country, United States, or wherever you may be from, link up with them. Maybe you can talk to them and see what they're doing, and stay in contact with them. And also with the traveling, these are things that she likes to talk about. It'll be written off. So go into with all the stuff you can write off.
So the number one thing when you want to up level your lifestyle is you have to keep that knowledge base fresh. You're constantly searching for new knowledge. As you change your tax implications, you need to know where the arbitrage is in my new tax implications. Are there any?
Right.
We had some friends this tax year. They sold a lot of Bitcoin because Bitcoin was running. They were selling the profits, and they didn't quite understand the tax implications. Every time you sold, you were going to be on the hook for owing the IRS money. Now, if you had the knowledge base to say, on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the LLC, I'm going to do the sole prop, so that I can conduct my lifestyle as a business and try to write off all of the things that I can legally write off, you can bring down the tax implication of the amount of Bitcoin they sold. Right. The other thing I want to mention, and I just want to be honest, our friends are okay, I asked permission if I was allowed to mention this, was that instead of supplementing your lifestyle with the Bitcoin profits, because that was a lot of what she said she was doing.
What it was is they were using Bitcoin as a high
interest checking account,
high interest savings account,
savings.
Right?
I'm sorry.
And which is a good idea, if you got a little bit of money in there, and then you look back, it's going up. You're like, oh, it's extra, more and more and more. But to take out the profit, you have to sell it, which makes it what they call a taxable event.
Yes.
Right. So now, if you sell it, it's a taxable event. No big deal, 200 here, 300 there. But over the course of a year, you'll be like, oh man. So now you're being taxed on every sale. That's why people will take out the collateralized loans,
right? Because
that's a non-taxable event in that manner. And so it's just, you live and you learn. It was one thing, and the next year. But like she said, what you can also do is, if you're writing off everything as a corporation, you get to bring down
your tax liability.
Your tax
and that would have balanced off
your tax burden.
Your tax burden.
I'm gonna call it burden.
Your tax burden.
The tax burden, because that is burdensome.
Your taxable obligations.
Okay, all right, we can call it that. You bring it down, even if you are selling Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's new. People are new to Bitcoin, so they have to figure out how they're going to use it, and what's going to happen as far as the IRS and other countries, and that's why you got things like the Act 60. Is it Act 60 in Puerto Rico, where you get some tax breaks and maybe some breaks on your Bitcoin holdings, and that's why you just got to look around for these arbitrages, because they're not like in plain sight.
Right.
They're not in plain sight, and you just have to do your research, your due diligence to see and how it works in your lifestyle. Like, we live in Mexico. I can tell you a whole bunch of stuff about Mexico, but I'm not saying that this is the only place to go. We can talk about a whole bunch of other countries. It just depends on what it is you need for your lifestyle and your family and your wealth building process.
And it's important for people to do their own research
Hmm.
so that they can truly understand what applies to them, what's applicable to them, what isn't applicable to them. They can run through the exercise, as I like to say, and adjust so that they can get that thing going for their benefit. More so than just listening to people tell you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Take note of it, do your research, but it is the application that allows you to begin to attain the mastery. And these are a lot of the things that I think people miss when they consider the idea of up-leveling. Up-leveling requires a considerable amount of knowledge base. You have to pursue knowledge. Knowledge is something you seek and you pursue it. You have to chase after it. It's not something that just, like osmosis, it just comes to you and it's easy to do. And it's a huge reason why when people come into considerable amounts of money fairly quickly, it's often squandered, or people just have an idea that, oh, now that I have more money, I can kind of do what I want, and they don't consider the pursuit of knowledge in order to continue up leveling and continue up leveling, continue up leveling. With every up level, with every lifestyle upgrade requires a plan. I talk about blueprints all the time. It requires continuous process improvement. And a process has to be applied, meaning this is a physical thing you are executing. It's not something that just sits in your head like, yeah, I should do this and I should do that and I should do the third, and then it never gets done. Those are also some of the things. Oh, when I get my business, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do the third. When I start my food truck, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the third, and then it never gets started. Right? It's just ideas and abstract ideas that stay in the mind. Write things down, have a blueprint, have discussions, get with like-minded people. I think the other day I said something different and you have to tell me it was like-minded.
Yeah, like-minded. Yeah.
But get with like-minded people so that you can, this is what we did and this is what we know works. Try it, see if it works for you, that kind of thing. But there is when you hear people speak, you can hear that they're looking for the glitter, the glamour, the fame, the fun of financial freedom, and no one really talks about the huge responsibility. They say with great power comes great responsibility. Wealth is power. With wealth comes responsibility, even if it's just a little bit more wealth. Even if you got a $12,000 increase in your salary, that comes with a newfound responsibility. You don't want the $12,000 extra dollars to get squandered. You don't want the tax man to come after it. You want to create and craft ways, there are so many that are legal, to help bring down your tax burdens and to keep the system from taking the money back. I implore you guys, start looking into, if you do have LLCs, if you are a sole proprietorship, what are the benefits tax-wise for you? What can you claim? What can you write off? And you have to be diligent with that. That's another thing. A lot of people, when you have to be diligent, you have to be committed to something and you have to do it consistently. I'm going to use the word apprehensive, but at the end of the day, just don't feel like doing it. It's a lot of work and they just don't feel like being bothered with it. When you're writing stuff off, you have to keep the receipts. And it's 2022. Most of those receipts are going to be digital, but you have to take a card and dedicate that card for that thing. That's why they give you business accounts. That way, your ledgers at the end of the year, you go through them with your tax professional. But you have to be diligent with these. If you have nothing to give a tax professional because you haven't been keeping the receipts, because you've been using 6 different cards, 9 different cards, it's hard to keep up with. Was this the lunch? Was this a business lunch? Was this lunch out with the girls?
Even if you got to go old school and just keep a journal and write the stuff down, you might have to go old school like that.
But that requires that discipline.
Yeah, that requires discipline to actually, every time you do something and it is going to be business related,
Mm-hmm.
you have to document it. You know, you
Mileage.
have to document. Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a hard one,
But
but
how many people
that's a
just
hard
don't do the
one.
mileage because
Yeah,
they don't feel like keeping up with
yeah,
it? How much money have they left on the table?
yeah,
People leave money on the table all the time because they simply don't feel like being bothered with it.
yeah.
You inherited a house. You let the house go back to the bank because you didn't know what to do. You didn't feel
Hmm.
like looking into it.
Yeah, we've seen that before. People
A lot.
being left inheritance of homes, real estate, and just don't feel like being bothered with it. You know, whether it's they don't know what to do with the home, or the home is in a place where they don't want to live or don't want to be. So it just it kind of goes, like she said, goes back to the state or somebody else is eventually, you know, gets the benefit of it. And so yeah, you gotta, yeah, these arbitrages are they're not always um, glamorous,
Mm-mm.
right? Sometimes you might have to go to a place and do certain things that, you know, you're like, "Ah, I really don't want to go there. I don't want to do that." But you got to understand. We talked about this in a previous episode about reverse engineering. You know, you see a lot of people come from other countries to the United
Yep.
States to, I mean, I would say not so desirable cities and
Mm-hmm.
areas, right? But they go over there, they whatever they got to do, if they got to work or they got to go to school, they get it done, right? It's not probably the place they want to be, you know, they're not in Miami Beach or something, but they get it done. And we also can do the same. You know, you might not want to live in a place, but you know, hey, they're offering some incentives for you to come over here and start a business, or you know, put some money into the community. And you're like, well, it's not a place I thought I would live, but
Mm-hmm.
why not? Let's put this work in, you know, because it's not all about, you know, it's not all about comfort, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what you say, you find, what's the saying? They say you find the most growth
Oh yeah.
outside of your comfort
What
zone,
did Coach
right?
used to tell you?
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So, and that to me, that was like circular logic when he told me, but I was a teenager, so I didn't understand it. You talking in the circle,
That's hilarious.
but it makes sense now going through my life.
Mm-hmm.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you get too comfortable, you should get worried.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so you know, you never want to get too comfortable, right? You know, comfort is okay. It's nice. When I say comfort, I don't mean, you know, have a nice house, whatever, car. That's comfort, but don't get so comfortable in a situation that if you were forced to switch your situation,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't know what to do. You would panic. You know, it would cause a
Or
problem
it would be devastating for
or
some
devastating.
people.
Yeah. So
Somebody passes away and
yeah. Yeah, so you gotta, I mean, there's gonna be some uncomfortable situations, but they can help you grow. They can help you grow, you know, as a person, mentally,
mm-hmm.
and they can help you grow your wealth. That's
Right.
what we're talking about. Look at the
Mm-hmm.
arbitrage, grow your wealth. We're out here in the country. We love it. It's a lot of land, mountains, and all this stuff.
But it has its drawbacks.
It
Like
has
we
its
don't
drawbacks.
romanticize
Yeah, it
stuff.
has
It
its
has its
drawbacks. I go down
drawbacks.
to the store. I can't use my debit card, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can't use my debit card hardly anywhere here. So I got to always have some pesos in my pocket. You know, other things. You know, we have different kind of utility usage. You know, it's not municipal, so we have some different
Mm-hmm.
things that we're not used to. But you know what? For the arbitrage, we're here for it.
Mm-hmm.
We're here for it for the
Mm-hmm.
arbitrage. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
And we're getting done. Things that we have set out to do, we're executing them.
yeah.
But at the same time, we do upgrade our lifestyle because we work a lot and the children are working to a collegiate level, even
Hmm.
though they're 11 and 14. Simon makes it a point to every month, every other month, I'm going to take you guys,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
it's a 3-day weekend, whether it's a week, I'm going to take you guys on a vacation, whether it's a mini vacation or a vacation.
Yeah.
The thing is, when we go on vacation, this isn't for 7 days. We get to lay out on the beach
Nah.
and we let the sun kiss our skin and we're eating out at these great restaurants. We still have work to do as entrepreneurs who are high income earners. We have to make sure that that money comes. We don't get
Well,
paid, whether it happens or not. It's important that we maintain the things that we need to maintain because we do run businesses.
yeah. We typically almost all the time when we go on these quote unquote vacations, we're always working though. Yeah, we're working. I mean, we work pretty much every day of the week. You know, we have flexibility, so we can do, move things around and do what we need to do for the family, or if we. But also, when we go on these vacations, we're working, and the children are still working. Right. You know, they'll have like a little, like a light schooling, right? So because we have to bring all their resources, but they have all the light schooling. Make sure you got to do this, stay up on this. I quiz them. You know, we play great games with the kids. If they know the answers to stuff, they can receive some monetary rewards. You know, but we're working because I hear people say little things like, you're on vacation again. We're not really on vacation. We do this also to just see other places. We talk to people, we interview people, we get footage, just seeing what's going on in other places, and so that we can just get an idea of the lay of the land, because Mexico is similar to the United States in the fact that it's a fairly large country. Very. So how in the United States, New York is different than Alabama, or is different than Oregon and California, Detroit. So in one large country, you have a lot of different areas, and that's how Mexico is. So you can go to different places. You can drive 4 hours this way, 4 hours north, south, east, or west, and you'll be in 4 different places. And it's good to go out, talk to the people, see what's going on, maybe get some information. So if somebody's talking to you about Mexico, you say, hey, well, we visited this place, we talked to this person, meet people, so that you can say, well, I know so-and-so over here, link up with him or her, and then, maybe you can get something going. So yeah, we go out there just boots on the ground, trying to see what's going on, and just go to different places. It's really cheap. I mean, it's really cheap. It's affordable. So we like to go out there, do it, let the kids meet other people, see other places. It's a good way to travel. You don't have to hop on a plane all the time. I mean, you can hop on a plane if you need to go somewhere else, but within a large country, you can just travel to different regions of the country. And Mexico, I believe, has 31 states? 31, 30, 31. Y'all fact check me on that one, but I believe it's 31. So they got 31 different states. They're all a little different. Now you go places, there's different cuisine, different weather. There's like even different dialects when you start speaking Spanish. Like, the dialect up here is different than the dialect down there. No different than the United States, right? You got your East Coast accent, you got your down south accent. So it is, it's just for us, it's an adventure. We want to do it while we have the opportunity and the freedom to do it,
But it's also our continuous process improvement. It's part of our knowledge seeking and pursuing, because the idea is our brand is to seek and look for the arbitrage and to attain that freedom that we're looking for. So we just wanted to just kind of bring some of these things to light, because we're hearing in conversation a misperception about freedom meaning you can do whatever you want, which really means there's a lack of discipline there. And we just want to bring to the attention that, people see the glamorous aspect of freedom. People see the glamorous aspect of jet setting and traveling and doing all these things, but there is a huge responsibility, and every time you upgrade, you get new responsibility added to you. You have a new job. One of the things I did want you to bring up too was the assigned roles.
Okay.
But that's important when wealth building.
Assigned roles in what regard? I'm sorry.
We were talking about even like with the homesteading.
Oh, with the homesteading,
and the community building.
Yeah, because I forgot. I moved on that. So the homesteading, I was talking about just husband and wife homesteading. But what you will see too sometimes, homesteaders, that's what they're called, different names. But you'll see maybe a group of families, 4 families come together to be off the grid. And what happens is you are assigned roles. Right? You don't, it's not, hey, they look at you and say, you look pretty big and strong. You're probably going to be doing some kind of manual labor, splitting the wood, right? That somebody else, you might be smart, so you could be in charge of education of the teacher, be a teacher. Say you have training in medical, you can be in charge of the medical. And that's what it is. It's just your assigned roles, and so that the community can thrive. And you've seen that in, if you watch movies and stuff with small communities, people will be assigned roles, and that's what they do. It's not like okay, if they're telling me I got to split wood, and I say, well, but I want to be an artist. They say, well, that doesn't help the community. We need the wood so we can heat the homes. So you have to do what is best for your community in that regard, right? And so it's just assigned roles. It's kind of it's a microcosm of a larger community, but still, the community needs certain people to do certain jobs. I watched the thing, and man, well, I don't know if I want to go because it might take the show a little longer, but I'm big into watching these videos too about homelessness, right? Homelessness is on the rise in the United States, right? Especially amongst Black men and women, right? So I watch these videos, and most of these homeless encampments, they're kind of lawless, right? There's nothing. It's just every man for himself type of situation. But I caught a documentary on Vice about a homeless encampment up in northern New Jersey, and it was run by a pastor. And what happened in that encampment was everybody had an assigned designated role, and it helped for everything to go better. Even if it was as simple as, hey, you kind of clean up out here, you pick the garbage up. You people over here, you guys will cook a meal for everyone. One of the gentlemen had a van, and his task was to take people around, whether they had to go to work or people had to go to medical appointments, and everybody just played their part. They had a curfew, right? And I know people don't like that, but they had a curfew, so you come back in and it's closed at 10 or 11. They had a rule of no drugs or alcohol. So because it's a serious thing, and homelessness is a serious thing that enough people don't talk about, because they try to just paint. I watch these videos a lot, and they try to paint homeless people as drug addicts and people who are lazy and don't want to work, right?
That's not true.
So I watch these videos, and it's a gentleman. He goes out, he interviews homeless people. He was homeless himself one time, and he just talks to them and asks them, "How did you find yourself in this situation?" Now, I done seen a few. I'll give you a few examples. So I seen he interviewed a gentleman. This man had a master's degree in psychology, and he was homeless. So what happened to him was, he hurt himself, right? Hurt his back. He only had so much time, so much leave. He couldn't get back to work. He lost his job. Once he lost his job, you know how that goes. You lose your job, you lose your residence, and now he's on the street. This is a man with a master's degree in psychology. Another one I seen, a woman, Black woman, retired from the United States Navy.
I think I saw that one.
She's retired from the Navy. She receives about, she said at the time, about $2,200 a month, which I know isn't a lot, but still that's what she receives monthly. But she's homeless, living in her car in Compton.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And not only that, she lost her children. Her children were taken into foster care. And this is a woman who retired from the United States Navy.
I think she was medically retired though, babe.
Yeah, but still retired. She put her time in. She should not be homeless.
But I guess I don't want them to think like she's a chief.
No, I mean
$2,200 a month because you were in for 20. She's medically retired. Yeah,
she was
she's
in
relatively
for,
young.
14 years. She was in for 14 years.
So I don't know, but maybe an E5.
E6. She was an E6.
Right.
So and people like that shouldn't be homeless in Compton in the park, living out of her car. I seen another gentleman. I go on and on with these stories. Gentleman, he's a professor at the University of California, Irvine, PhD, biology. This guy is on the brink of losing his house because they don't pay him enough. And so what he does on the side is he drives Uber. Let's say this guy's a doctor of biology, and he has to drive Uber on the side. And he used to say in between Uber rides, he was grading papers. And this is a middle, man's about 60 years old. So, we might have to talk about it more. Homelessness, we talked about it a little bit, getting aged out the workforce. These are people who could be slightly getting aged out the workforce. I go on and on because there's a lot of stories of people out there who are homeless, and they're working. They're what they call a working poor.
Right.
There's a group of people, and I don't know. This is these documentaries I watch these over time. It's a group of people who are drivers. So apparently, apparently Google's campus is fairly large.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys drive. They drive like little buses, and they drive the employees from place to place on Google. And but what happened is these guys didn't actually work for Google. They were subcontracted. So they weren't being paid a really decent wage.
They're not employees of Google.
They're not employees of
Okay,
Google. And these guys slept in their vans and their buses because they couldn't afford rent in Silicon Valley. Right? So, I didn't want to go off track too much, but you got to build your wealth, have a plan. We got to talk about this homelessness thing because it is going to become a problem. I think it already is a problem, but I believe it's just going to get worse and worse. It's getting it's really an uptick in Black people. So just keep that in mind. Keep your eye on it. Put something away for a rainy day. That's why we say the arbitrage may be another country where maybe I know a guy who lived down the street. He got a 2-bedroom apartment, costs $150 a month. So, there's places that you can go where your money could probably last longer instead of getting eaten up so fast in the United States.
Your currency is stronger. When we say stronger, we're saying your purchasing power is more sustainable. And, like we said, sometimes the answer isn't getting a second or third job. Sometimes the answer is maybe changing location. It doesn't have to be to another country. It could be to another city.
Yeah.
So, especially in the digital nomad age when you can work remotely. But I just want to shoot back to the assigned roles.
Yeah.
In wealth building. And there's a lot of pushback on this because somehow, some way, gender assignments get involved. And if we can take some of the emotion out of the information, right, it helps a lot to I'm able to pull this point. I'm able to utilize this practice to make me better. Doesn't matter where the point came from, right? So in wealth building, sometimes the assigned role, the idea is if it's more than one person wealth building, the leveraging of strengths and weaknesses, the compromise, the commitment, even if it's something that doesn't seem glamorous, you're probably not going to get the credit for it. You may get overlooked, and not by your significant other, but by other people. Right. Very often people will compliment how intelligent our children are. And they're talking to me. No, don't talk to me. Talk to him. This is their homeschool professor. This is the one who educates them. And as a Black man, as a father who's very active in the lives of his children, it's important that you give him the credit. And it's important for me to say, I have my thing that I do in the household, but I'm not going to take credit for that.
Okay.
Right? If you think the children are handsome and beautiful, I carried them, so I'll take some of the credit for that, but they look like their daddy. And I'm saying that as a joke, but I'm being very honest as well. When it's more than one person trying to build wealth, just understand that we have a job to do. And if you are more qualified to do this, and person B is more qualified to do that, find a way to work cooperatively with each other in order to get that done so the mission gets accomplished. Yeah. Even in our household, there's 6 of us. This is a little community. It's just inside our household. All of the children, including the 5-year-old, they have assigned roles and they know what their roles are. They know what they're supposed to do. They understand their buddy system. And it's important that you are able to, if you have children, to teach them these things from young so that they can utilize these practices in their adult life. There's a significant portion of the population that never plays team sports. No. So they don't understand cooperative environments.
Yeah, well, I like to use sports analogies. And also military analogies.
Well, even less people do the military thing.
Yeah, you come together as a team to you have one goal, right? And you play your part on the team. I mean, everybody can't be the star, the best player. You have a position. You see football, some people just play special teams, and that's that. That's that. You're not going to get a lot of glory, but you do play a big part in the outcome, because if you don't do your job correctly, it could go the other way. Same thing with the military. If there's a mission that needs to be accomplished, doesn't matter what part of the team you're on, especially in the military. If you're talking about, you're getting out into, if you're talking about being in the theater of war, you have to do what you have to do because people's lives are at stake, right? So the team concept, even though you may do something with what they call like, grunt work or, a shit job, but listen, as a team, we all understand that this is the goal. This is the mission that we need to accomplish. So I'm going to do my part to the best of my ability. You do your part to the best of your ability. Everybody else around, and we can get this mission accomplished. Because that's what it's about, getting this mission accomplished, right? We want to get to the point of freedom. That is our mission. Our mission is to getting to freedom. And, being truly free it may not ever happen that you're truly free, but what you can do is you can remove yourself, and we would like to talk about those areas of activity and just gain a little bit of freedom little by little, right? Get out of these areas of activity that are overseen usually by the government, but just move a little bit out of them. So you'll get a little bit of freedom little by little, and then that's what we want. And then we want to be able to pass that freedom on to generations to come.
But also, a lot of the narratives that you're hearing on social media, you hear on television, you hear on talk shows, we really want to do what we can to add the practicality to them, to add the reality of what it really looks like, and not just listen to talking points that people are regurgitating. So when I talk about assigned roles, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with gender. It just so happens you're able to do that and you are the guy. Or you're able to do this well and you are the woman.
Well, sometimes it's the gender, but if you're talking about
but not allowing the narrative like, well, you're the woman, you supposed to cook, and you the man, you supposed to do whatever you supposed to do, to interfere in the cooperative aspect of the wealth building process. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you meant like the homesteading.
Well, homesteading, it might be, the guy might be the one who splits with. Maybe it's the sexy woman with the big boobs that splits with. I've seen that. Them girls are sexy.
But yeah, you can't. Don't take it too personal. You just get assigned a job. There was you just
don't play into the hype as my
point. Don't play into the hype, right?
Don't play into the hype.
If somebody does something better, and so then let that person do that, and then if another person does something better, let them do that. Sometimes you have dynamic people who may do something better than most people, so pick the part that they do that's most important and put them there. And then let the other people, work into these other parts.
And don't be afraid to have your children have assigned roles. Don't be afraid to do that because they are integral parts of the household. My middle son, the 14-year-old, he's the sous chef. I don't know why the oldest isn't the sous chef. The oldest is the driver. Right? When dad's not driving, he's in charge of driving. He's in charge of going to the store to buy things when mom and dad are preoccupied. The 14-year-old, for whatever reason, he can cook dinners. If I love to cook, so I want to cook for my children. I think I enjoy when they say, "Oh, mom, your food is delicious." Mom's cooking. But when mom's tied up because she's busy with dad working on whatever they're working on, the 14-year-old is in charge of cooking. The 11-year-old is in charge of cleaning up the kitchen, organizing the dishes, making sure there's no stray dishes all over the house. The 5-year-old wipes down the counters. Yes, America, we make that 5-year-old work. He wipes down the counters. He wipes down the dining room table, and he makes sure that the chairs are clean. If he makes a little mess, he cleans it up. So everyone kind of knows what it is, and we've simplified their roles. They have other things, like the 20-year-old throws the garbage out, but the 11-year-old gathers all the garbage up in the house to make sure that the 20-year-old can throw the garbage out at the dump. Have the assigned roles, and everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. You don't have to remind anybody. You don't have to ask anybody. The house works like clockwork. And that is a huge part of our wealth building because they're maintaining the household while we run the business for the household.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the earlier show. We bring them in on the wealth building process. I give them assignments. They come back and tell me what they've researched and what they learned, and
part of the curriculum.
Yeah, it's part of their curriculum. Learning about different digital assets. They also learn about physical gold and silver.
And they learn about how to run a household.
Yeah.
When they get their wives and their children, they'll know exactly what to do, and they'll be an integral part of their household until their children are able to do what we train them to do and then run the household so they can run their business.
Yeah, and it's important too because in what we do, we have to travel a lot, and a lot of times we don't take the kids with us, just because just to get work done. If you got everybody with you, it's hard to get work done sometimes. So we got to go away for a week. Like we went to El Salvador a couple times. We leave the kids here, but they know how to run the household because we showed them, and they run it like clockwork. Now, what they will do is they will eat up all the food.
Yeah.
And before we get back, so
Yeah.
But hey, that's on them,
becomes
man.
The head chef,
that's
and
they
just eat everything.
They just eat everything. I said, hey, we bought you enough food for a week, and it's gone in day 4. It's just hey, when they FaceTime you and say, Dad, we ain't got no food, I'll be like,
they eat like they're a basic trainer. If you
like,
ever seen a basic trainee eat? That's how they eat.
I'll see you in 3 days. So, but so we have to train them for that because we have to move about and around. She has to go to the United States from time to time.
Yeah, maintain our house.
Like I said, we like to travel for just some kind of content and things like that. Like I said, we're gonna go to Costa Rica pretty soon, and where else we going?
We're going back to Belize.
Belize and Puerto Rico. So, we got to, and we probably won't take them, and not that they can't go, but just so that we can get over there, do our work, and come back.
Things, yeah,
we're just trying to get in and get out with those. But, man, they run a pretty good household. It's not like I come home, it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
But I think, too, like they have 2 military-trained parents that would naturally, we've been training them since literally they're out the womb.
Yeah, and then they
make their beds and stuff without us having to tell them. Just little things.
And we're in a small community. We have people that we can call here if need be. If they need some help, like, hey, can you take some food over there to them, or something like that.
Yeah, so, like our friends own a restaurant. We'll call them like, hey, if you could just deliver some food to the house, we'll pay the tab when we get back.
I pay when I get back.
And then he gets mad because they've ordered all of this food and the tab is astronomical.
Yeah.
So y'all was eating good. You're eating salad tomorrow.
But, we didn't want to keep you guys too long. I guess it ran long. It always runs long. But bottom line, did I say did we say everything we needed to say?
Yeah, bottom line is that financial freedom comes with added layers of responsibility. You can still enjoy it. You can still enjoy that lifestyle. It can be glamorous. It can be, fantastic. I love our lifestyle. But I also understand in my soul how much work is required.
Yeah, get free is the goal. Staying free is the work. So we want everybody to enjoy their Independence Day, I guess, if you are independent and or free. Your barbecues, you guys out here partying and stuff. As they say, no, what they say, no pork on my fork. So I don't know what that means. No pork on my fork though, but you get it. We're gonna get back with you guys on Wednesday. Hit us up with some. If any show ideas or anything you want to talk about, clarify, whatever, whatever you want.
We have not forgotten about scientific notation. It's just that obviously it's Independence Day, and I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time because the conversations are. Yeah. I just wanted to add a dose of reality to phrases that I keep hearing.
Okay. Yeah, let us know if you still want the scientific notation. Any other shows that you might want, any feedback. We appreciate the feedback, the support, the emails. We love it. So, we look forward to talking to you guys on Wednesday.
If you love our content, we are asking you to share it so other people can enjoy the content as well. That's how you support us. We'll never ask you for money or anything like that, but we are going to ask you to share our content, tweet it, share it on Facebook, Instagram. You can just send the link to somebody, send the playlist, and we want to thank the Gentlemen of Crypto for their fantastic network.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all Wednesday.